Taking forever. There we go.
There it is.
So this is week 7, Group C. And Heather, you said you wanted to start it off. Do you guys want me to read the prompt?
Yeah, read it.
Alrighty. So the prompt says, this week's lectures and readings focused on public leadership and leadership in a crisis. Please discuss ways that you believe organizations can prepare leaders at all levels to respond in a crisis. Consider in this discussion the communication issues faced by BP in the spill and the failures of crisis communication. There we go.
Okay. Sorry. For chapter 12, sorry. My kid is laughing in the background. Can we start over?
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go for it. Do you want me to stop the broadcast and start it over? Hello? Heather?
Heather?
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Can you cut this part out?
I think so.
Okay. So for this chapter 12, I think we could all agree that the spill was pretty devastating. And in regards to the chapter, establishing developmental relationships was important for this crisis, so they can increase their chances of having an emerging leader in the organization. I think an important part of the video was that there was really no communication, and between BP and all the engineers and everybody. And then on chapter 13, I felt that having a succession plan is important for in case something happens to the CEO, they can have somebody step in immediately. And they also need to recognize danger signs of any kind of troublesome crisis, have a crisis management plan, management team, and they need leaders to take charge during a crisis.
Definitely.
With BP, I mean, that's a pretty sad video. I mean, the engineers didn't screw on the valves right.
Right. It was like a series of events that went wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting too on like the BP spill, like you're seeing some of the documents that they like put forth right at the beginning of just like, hey, we need to invest in, repairs and maintenance on these rigs, and we could either do it now or we could make money right now. And it was definitely more of
Oh yeah, that was the other problem. Yeah, that the CEO wanted to make the company big and address the safety issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, because they didn't think that it would have that big of a devastating effect. They just, they thought they could fix it whenever, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, but obviously, it was better safe than sorry, and instead they took the opposite route on that. So I definitely, that's the biggest thing that like stuck out in my mind of that whole event when it happened, and then seeing the entire thing play out on this spill. That was the thing to me as well, that I'm like, if you had really just taken precautions, everything would have been a lot better. And I mean, looking from chapter 13, the best thing that they could do afterwards is looking at what they could do as far as afterwards, like at the post-crisis, and going over, what happened, what went wrong. And I mean, even other companies like what you see from the spill, they did the exact same thing. Right. So leadership in crisis, I mean, it's really tough when you're in those moments. I know for me, I used to work at a movie theater, and when the power went out, that was always like crisis mode. So you'd have like 2,000 people in this theater, and you'd have to like, these areas are pitch black and dark and everything like that. So you'd have to deal with something like that, or like a fight in one of the theaters, and that happened kind of frequently. So just random things like that where you've got to be on your toes and you need to know how you're going to handle those situations and deal with everyone else who, you know, almost this day and age in the culture that we're in just complains to see if you can get something for free. So
That's funny that you say that. we deal with that. Both Stephanie and I deal with that at Starbucks all the time.
yeah, exactly. So
It's
if you complain loud enough, you'll get something for free, right? That's how it works.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's if you complain enough or you complain loud, like you said, loud enough,
Yeah.
we'll give you a recovery card. At least now the recovery cards are only worth $4 because we used to give out these recovery certificates that were good for any drink that they wanted, and people would order just like the biggest, most expensive drink they could get.
Yeah.
So now when they get a recovery card, it's only worth $4. But
Gotcha.
I think for, and I probably speak for Stephanie as well, but I'll just speak for myself right now. At Starbucks, when we have a major crisis, one of the biggest, quite often, is when a partner will call out sick or, you know, and at the last second. And so you really don't have the time to go in the back and get a list and start calling people. Instead, you've just got to deal with your line of people to the door. And, you know, for us, that's a crisis because now it's slowed down our productivity. It's slowed down how fast our people are going to get their drinks and get their orders taken. It's also slowed down the amount of transactions we have per half hour, which is something that our management and our you know, corporation looks at. They want to know that we are hitting at our peak, that we're getting as many people through as possible every 30 minutes. So it really messes us up. But I think that for us, for me, being able to deal with that in crisis mode is just being specific with my people and letting them know exactly what it is that I want them to focus on doing, and being able, and for them, it's about being flexible to either move to the bar or move back to the register when we get that imbalance of too many drinks or too many customers in line. So for me, it's just about being communicative and making sure that they understand where I want them to be as far as working through a crisis.
Yep.
Sounds good. Okay, guys, I did a little bit. Well, I wanted to talk about chapter 12 because I had saw this thing about pathways on how to be a successful leader. Like it was, I think, 7 or 8 different pathways, and then one of them was talking about balance mastery. If any of y'all saw that, balance mastery is just talking about balancing your life and work and, you know, all the stuff you got to do. And as a leader, if you don't have balance, then there's no way you could be successful because it could.
Oh, did we lose Cheyenne?
Get bills instead of worrying about trying to teach somebody how to do something. So I thought that was cool that, because I never heard of that before, like pathways to be a leader. It was a bunch of different ones. Let me pull it back up real quick. It was like,
yeah, I remember looking at it though in chapter 12. I remember, yeah.
Mastery, like just knowing yourself and stuff like that. It was cool. And then when I popped in, Nelson was talking about crisis, and I caught that y'all was talking about the BP spill. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about in chapter 13, you should know the danger signs as a leader, because as a leader, you are the one that could stop the crisis before it even happens. That's a lot of pressure too. But I mean, somebody got to do it, right? And it's cool that they were talking about how, you know, basically they're talking about like scanning, just to prevent. And that's like the smart. I feel like the involves the least amount of stress because nothing's happened yet. You just that way, right?
Oh yeah, no, we relate to that completely. We have things at Starbucks all the time that break down, and you get little signs, you know, like if you don't put the tablets in your machine and then you try to use your machine for so many hours at full bore, it's gonna go down. So if you don't do the maintenance ahead of time, then yeah, you're gonna pay the price later.
Yep, always got to make preventative measures. That's the smart way to go, I think.
Yeah. It's one of the things too where, like, as a leader, how much of it do you feel is always like, oh, I've stopped something from happening, when in actuality, nothing wrong has happened. So people sometimes look at it as like, well, why are you even doing it? Nothing wrong is happening. And it's that constant battle of like, no, the reason why nothing wrong is happening is because we're doing that preventive stuff.
Right. Circle.
And I guess that's the big thing with BP is they just chose, I mean, like you said, they chose not to take those precautions. They would rather have worried about their profits more than actually taking the safety precautions. And as a result, not only loss of life, loss of wildlife, and one of the other worst parts about their communication failure is that they didn't express any sympathy to the families that were affected from the accident. They didn't take, they of course tried to avoid taking any responsibility, blaming it on third parties, and just making any attempt they can to save their reputation.
Right.
I mean,
I agree.
The absolute biggest thing for leadership in a crisis is preparation, not just for possible things that could happen, but also things that you just can't plan for. You have to be prepared to be unprepared, I guess is kind of the way to put it. There's only so many things you can. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I work at, you guys know, in a corporation, and we just had a earthquake drill the other day. We have a dedicated facilities team for crisis management. So they are always, doing drills, and, there's floor wardens, making sure everybody gets out. And even when we have a power outage, because we have a huge campus with 3 buildings, even if there's a power outage, they just tell us to go home because it's just not right for us to stay there in this hot building. So it's definitely important to have communication when there's a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Guys, I think we are at the end here. So I'm going to end the broadcast.
Okay.